it wasn't like the Minions, but it was a good cartoon, you know, the movie.
What movie?
Well, there's our intro.
Okay.
Welcome everyone to the episode. So we are going to be talking about the Chainsawman Reze arc film. And these are my two friends, Patrick and Landon. And you two are my resident anime experts, or at least know far more than I do.
I didn't agree to that.
So you don't have to. It's true. It's the problem about the truth.
I'm intermediate at best.
Okay. Well, there we go. It goes from beginner, intermediate, advanced. I think.
I wouldn't call myself advanced. I
Oh.
feel like that might be an insult to some of my friends. Not to
I'm
me.
not sweaty enough to be a.
I don't consider myself. I don't know enough. When I got to college, he had to update me on what was happening in Naruto. So
That was a great interaction, really.
It was.
I was playing Ninja Storm Generations
Mhm.
in the public area, and he just walks up. And he's like, "Who's that guy?" You know, and I go, "Well,
No, do I have a story for you?
is that Madara?
Yeah. Wow, that's what is that? Ichigo from Bleach?
I never watched Bleach, so you see.
Well, there we go.
yeah, me neither."
So maybe we
See,
all
we're-
equate to an intermediate level.
The Venn diagram like
Yeah.
fills out for general anime knowledge. So yes, welcome. We usually don't talk about anime on this podcast, but I couldn't stop thinking about this movie to the point where I had already seen it, and then it was Patrick's birthday. You guys said we're gonna go see the movie. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see it again. I have to. And
Good.
so it captivated me in such a way that I didn't think that it would. I do love Chainsaw Man, but there was an element of like, okay, this is the problem is all of the movies right now that are like anime movies are usually like, hey, here's just another part of the story. You basically needed to watch the show, and if you don't, then you're going to be really lost. And so for Demon Slayer, they had the Infinity Castle movie come out. If you didn't watch the show, what even's happening? It looks cool, but like, what are the stakes? Who are these people? What's going on? But this movie is so its own kind of thing that if you don't know Chainsaw Man, you're probably going to miss out on a couple things. But like, it's its own complete story, I think.
The movie definitely, like, it self-contained everything. I
Mhm.
felt like anybody who came into it, you would immediately get who Chainsaw Man was, what he does, which is he turns into chainsaws and he's a man.
Yeah.
Wow. You
know,
understood.
Episode over. They covered everything.
You understood power dynamics between the characters, not literally the one power who is a character, but their relationships with each other, that there was hierarchy, there were things they were afraid of and things they cared about. And the movie wraps itself up with knowing where those people are at the end and where things stand. So,
Yeah. And we are in the no spoilers part, so this is going to be very general. But yeah, Pat, what did you think?
I also had the feeling that it was pretty accessible. Like after seeing it, I said, but I feel like you could go into that movie without knowing anything,
Yeah.
and you would probably enjoy it, even just from a audio visual experience perspective. It's a chainsaw guy,
Yeah.
and-
Very epic.
and he's killing the meat tornado, and there's a lot of explosions.
Exactly.
So-
Now, I do have to mention, which is kind of frustrating, that the Infinity Castle movie looked stunning, beautiful. I think they made it for like, it was like tens of millions, something like that. While the Chainsaw Man movie was made for a couple million, like
It was
less
4.
than, yeah. And
Yeah.
apparently Studio Mappa is known for really squeezing their talent and their animators, while UFO Table that made Infinity Castle are known for being just nicer, and not killing your animation staff. So there is an element of like, this movie is doing so well and I'm glad and it's great, but it's also like, at what cost, man? Like, do we need to squeeze all these people to make this movie? It looks awesome, but geez.
It's morally wrong to not see the movie then,
yeah.
right?
Their
should
sacrifice,
right?
honor their sacrifice, like you said.
Mhm.
Give Mappa more money so they can make more quality content and more people have the opportunity to sacrifice themselves.
At the altar of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the altar of Chainsaw Man.
Now, what probably would be better though, so when you pay for your ticket, you have to tell the person at the counter, say, hey, I'm paying for this ticket. Can you make sure that Mappa sends this money to the animators and not to the
Yeah.
shareholders?
Yeah.
I think every time you buy a ticket, they need to prick your finger and take some of your blood, and then infuse that back to the animators so they can keep animating.
And that's-
the
that-
vitality.
That is, important lore relevance in the Chainsaw Man world. So they're just
Yeah, they're making
consuming
you
our power,
Yeah.
our blood.
Now, I really quickly want to talk about the anime, just because There is someone named Ryu Nakama, I think it is, who was the showrunner for the first season. This is an anime. It's made by who? Fujimoto? What's his first name?
Tatsuki Fujimoto.
Yes,
That guy.
and yeah, and it is incredible. Like I did not realize how beloved this manga was until watching the anime and being like, this is so good. Apparently, there was a huge amount of drama when the anime was coming out because the manga is so beloved that Ryu was like, well, you know, Fujimoto loves movies. So let's make so much of it kind of hinge on movie culture as well as be more filmic, like look and be shaded like a film. Apparently, everybody in Japan hated that and was like, yeah, but it's a manga and it should have like really stark lines and like be much more gritty and crazy. And the use of like 3D animation in a couple parts, that element, and apparently they really didn't like Denji's like voice actor in Japanese. That like the American audience was very chill about it, but apparently there was a huge backlash against this like one guy's direction about the first season because everybody was like, it's not what we wanted, so we hate you. I feel like this movie goes out of its way to be like, that was cool, we're sorry, here's this. At the beginning of this arc in the manga, they redo this scene from the beginning of the anime where Denji's walking around and then he sees this door. And apparently this is super relevant to the manga. But for me, it felt like, hey, we're gonna redo that scene in the animation style you want so that you know this will be exactly what y'all asked for. Because the animation style is way more like stark, very like iconic instead of like smooth lines and smooth shading.
I definitely see where you're coming from, and I remember the discussions about it because I had read the manga, and then I remember being excited for the anime when it was coming out, and I never had any issues with it. I was really impressed with it getting such a sort of detailed and expressive. I guess people feel it wasn't expressive or toony enough. I remember a lot of the conversations were like, there are panels where they're kind of making goofier expressions that you couldn't do in real life. And that the anime, the first season, stuck to its realism, groundedness, and filmic nature, like I said. Fujimoto is definitely a movie lover.
Oh my God, yes.
When I read the manga, some of the paneling, some of the artwork, some of the spreads, I immediately thought, this is very cinematic. They're more focused on how this would look in motion and like on a screen rather than reading it, like it would another, like certain authors take inspiration from like American comic books or other manga. This one immediately, I could see this guy likes movies. And I loved the references in the opening of the original anime. And I felt like that was paying more homage to the artist's wishes of liking movies. And I was able to, enjoy it, even though I thought it could have a little more color in some places, that I missed out on some of the, zany, wacky anime interactions. It now having a style change with the movie, it's a way of expressing sort of Denji, the main character's ungrounded, unrealistic, perspective.
That's a good point,
And that the world that they're in, the more you get into it, the more you follow the series, the more fantastical and vibrant it becomes. They cover more extreme and surreal topics, and you haven't read it. I'm really looking forward to a lot of how they handle showing some of the future pieces and chapters.
And that's the funny thing is that, so you both read through part 1, I heard.
You read it before you even watched the show.
Before the show and any of it started.
So he had read it completely before that. I read the manga all the way up until where it currently is now after I saw the movie.
Oh, so you've caught up to the current state of
so
the
I've completely caught up on
on
the manga now. What was your question?
Sorry. No, it's just that I've only read up to like past Reze arc. And that's the thing that I found so funny is that, like, when I was reading those volumes now, being like, they added so much in the movie that makes it such its own thing that's like incredible. But the fact that like y'all both have read through part 1, so I feel like there's parts of this movie that you can appreciate a bit more now, knowing like where the things are gonna go. Don't spoil nothing, but I'm asking.
I'll tell you this. This is not a spoiler.
Okay.
The main feeling that I had after seeing the movie, and this is without the context of future events, was wow, I'm really I'm kind of sad.
That was
tugging on my heart. a little bit. I was kind of sad. And then I read the manga, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of a high point, actually. Like, you know, compared to what comes later,
this movie,
compared
like,
to what came later, this is not that bad.
Scathing indictment. Wow, Jesus.
It made me feel better, to be honest. Like, truly.
This is just a lovely love story. Yeah, if you think about it. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't wait to read the rest of that one.
I think it's something that should be read.
Sure.
I highly recommend it. And if you don't want to read it, watch the movie, because the movie is just as enjoyable and exciting and fun. And it will make you want to read it.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
really quickly, I need to get some very cursory trivia out that
Sure.
Fujimoto has said that he is inspired by Quentin Tarantino and by the Coen brothers.
yeah.
And the more that I read his stuff as well as watch the movies, and the show, I'm like, yeah, yes, it comes across blatantly. Not only imagery from Tarantino and the Coen brothers a little bit, but less. But like the fact that, yeah, the public safety people are dressed like Reservoir Dogs, you know. A lot of the iconography comes from his movies. There's a very small piece of trivia that I want to talk about, which is that we'll get it. Actually, let's have this debate right now.
Sure.
I am a spoiler purist. If you tell me anything about the movie, even in the form of like, oh, the ending, I'll be like, well, now I'm waiting for the ending. And I'm that asshole that'll just be mad about it because I'm just like, well, now I'm waiting for the ending or this or that. And it's gotten to the point where trailers will infuriate me because I'll see an image and I'll be like, well, now I'm just waiting for that image to happen because it's so striking and cool. And presumably that'll happen in the climax. So when are we going to get there? The trailers and the music video that came out before this movie, in my mind, I wouldn't say that they like fully spoiled the plot at all, but like so much of the iconography, like I'm just sitting there like, this has so much of the cool moments in it that if I'd seen the movie, I would just be waiting for that to happen. And it just frustrates me so much. I'm glad I didn't watch that beforehand, but it reminds me of the movie Sinners. Have you guys seen Sinners?
I have not.
Okay.
I want to.
What do you know about the movie?
I know there are vampires in it.
Not a single thing other than what he just
Unless
said.
that was a spoiler.
Okay. Yeah. Well, but genuinely, the trailers piss me off so much because the movie is so much better if you didn't know that, in my opinion.
That there are.
And yeah, exactly. So
I don't
sorry,
know how you
Pat.
avoid that. I don't even think I watched the trailer.
I'm
fully
sure.
through.
I'm pretty sure I did see the Reze arc trailer,
Yeah.
but honestly, anime movie trailers are not very good usually.
Sure. Well, sure. Yeah.
So-
like Infinity Castle just had people falling through a castle.
It didn't spoil anything for me because it was almost incomprehensible,
Okay. And I get that.
at least from my perspective.
They made not only the trailers, but the music video for Iris Out, the song that plays at the beginning of the movie. The music video itself from the artist is all just the best clips of the movie. Where I'm like, God, bro, like after the movie, I'm just like, this is awesome. But like before seeing the movie, I would have been frustrated in my temperament. But the actual thing that they released from, I think, Mappa or someone else, was just the intro, like literally the intro of the movie with the music, which is the whole song anyway.
Mhm.
And it doesn't spoil anything because it's the beginning of the movie. And I'm just like, God, what are we doing here?
I actually didn't watch any of the trailers because I
Mhm.
typically like to avoid trailers for things I'm interested in. But
Yeah.
spoilers, I never always feel like they detract too much.
Mhm.
Like I went into this knowing exactly what was going to happen.
Sure.
There were things I was looking forward to.
You had the
seeing.
ultimate spoiler, the manga.
Yeah. I mean, there's that. So for me, certain things, there's an immense payoff because I've read a lot of manga and then looked forward to seeing them animated. And I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to see this.
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to how this happens and people's reactions to it
Mhm.
because I know how I felt reading it,
Yeah.
which it does change your pacing. There is so much more emotional connection I think you can make with like film media.
Sure.
I don't know, maybe people disagree with, reading and stuff like that. But for me, like being in a theater, and this will come up later when we talk about spoilers, is an important way of conveying emotions and connections with people.
Mhm.
And I think the movie did a good job of that. And I've always loved, like, if I knew something ahead of time, I could at least pay attention to people's responses to it because I've had time to digest
Mhm.
and know how I felt, and I can pay more attention to how they felt and what they think, and maybe
Sure.
not to influence their feelings too much, but talk to people about it and then maybe elucidate them on certain things they may not have been aware of, certain details
Well, that's why I wanted to see the movie with you, especially, is because like
Yeah.
after the movie, you're just like, hey, this was the thing, and I'm like, oh my god, that
Yeah.
like I wish I could go see the movie again now because
Yeah.
it kind of flavors a lot of the moments where it's just like there is by the end of the movie something that like will recontextualize the movie if you go back, and then there's something even further that's like if you knew the manga or knew what's going on, you're just like, no, this is also important. You're like, oh my god, there's layers on this. How do you feel about spoilers in the movie, Pat?
I think I had a superior experience than him
Okay.
because I didn't know what was going to happen. But I get where you're coming from, only because I have had the experience of, say, you know, I watch an anime, I really like it, and then if I like it a lot, I'll be like, oh, I want to watch it again with my friend.
Sure, exactly.
You know, because I want to
like see their reaction to like a big moment.
because you know something's happening. I'm like, looking at him. But I'm also glad that I got to see it for the first time in
Dolby surround sound,
Yeah,
we got
amazing
Dolby
vision, blah blah
surround.
blah.
the mega sound. And other than that, my pre-spoiler assessment of the film is I have no nuanced or in-depth take or analysis. That's the coldest take possible. It's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10.
Damn.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome movie.
Uh-huh.
I was in it the whole time.
Sure. What about you, Landon?
Oh,
What
I have
would
to
you
give my
give it?
rating now.
Sure. You don't got to do numbers, but
it was definitely up there. I could feel like out of anime movies, it's a 10
oh,
out of 10
sure,
for me.
Definitely.
Especially the ones I've seen, and I've seen a lot of UFO Table, and I love the Heaven's Feel movies. But like, as far as what a movie is, like that was a trilogy, you know. And then, you know, you have to have all this context for Fate. Like that is the last arc of, you know, a whole visual novel. For this movie, I feel like it captures exactly the manga's essence, the chaos, and the plot of just that arc in its entirety. So anybody could sit through it and enjoy it. And for me, that's like, if it's complete, if it does what it set out to do, it's a 10 out of 10. They didn't fail anywhere for me.
That's big from manga reader just being like, no notes. It was great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm that asshole that won't give something like a 10 out of 10 just because if a movie moves me in such a way, but I probably would give it a 10, honestly. Just my initial thing, just because there is so much that like after I saw the movie the first time, I was like, that was fine. That was very good. And I enjoyed it. And there are parts of it that like that didn't hit as much for me, but it's a good movie. And the more that I sat with it, the more I'm like, no, this is on par with a Coen Brothers or with a Tarantino, where you just sit there and you think more about the characters, you think more about the situation. You're like, there's levels to this I didn't think about that are like just really. It's so funny because from an action standpoint, it's oh my god, it's cinema. Like there's just the way that they visualize so much stuff is like so awesome that like it's funny looking at the manga. I'm like, they didn't even come close to like they went buck wild with it. But then also the story is just so good and the characters are written so well. So is it time for spoilers?
I'm ready for spoilers because a lot of what I want to
spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on. What are you saying?
I was just saying a lot of what I wanted to say was tied behind the spoiler barrier because I want to talk about technically the movie.
Yeah.
You know how impressive it looks in certain scenes.
Yes.
But
So Reze is the bomb devil. Whoa, that's one of the elements that in the trailer. That's one of the elements that in the trailer, I'm like, if I didn't know that, I would have been so like about it, you know, that like, of course she's got like the, you know, the grenade pull pin on her
choke,
neck, but like, you know, and that's like the literal, okay. Hitchcock has a thing called the ticking bomb where it's like, when you know something's going to happen, like it's very well placed. You're waiting for it to happen. So it's like a sweat builds. You're waiting and you're panicking. She's literally the bomb devil. It's such a good
suspense.
Yeah, exact way to do that.
I'm just blown away that Reze was the bomb devil.
I wasn't sure which one was the Chainsaw Man when I finished the movie.
I think his name was Aki, I think.
Aki, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. No,
I thought the bomb devil killed her.
Yes, yeah.
What happened? Didn't the bomb go off or something? Like,
Yeah, she was there 1 second, and then like, boom, and then the bomb devil's there.
All of a sudden, like Chainsaw Man and the bomb devil fall in the water, and then they're just gone.
And that's ridiculous.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't
like,
understand. Like, where was the shark guy?
Yeah, this is the fantasy element that you were
Yeah.
telling me about. Is people apparating and disappearing.
It's very surreal.
But about that suspense, like being as someone who knew it was going to happen, I had a lot of suspense watching her scenes. There was so much I was waiting for, and I was like, oh my God, this is about to happen. Like, yep, this is it. All of the school sequence.
Yeah, he kept nudging me when the pool scene was about to come up. He was like, you got to see this. Is great.
You got to see this. You got to be ready for it. You're not gonna believe what happens.
He's like, pay attention. He's like, don't go to the bathroom.
Not like her. Don't go to the bathroom.
Oh my god. Yes, and just to talk about that really quick. These kids are 16. That pool scene was ridiculous, and it is bar for bar from the manga. Like, I went back through and read it. I'm like, wow, this is literally exactly how it's presented in the manga of them being there. You guys really, really set up that they're 16 this whole movie, and then did that. And I'm not that's the one blemish that I'm like, I personally don't love that, but like, I get it. Like, it's literally part of the plot and why it's important. The whole thing with her like choking the guy out was like,
so
this is good.
So murder's okay.
Yeah, but not.
I mean,
children.
I mean, the stuff he was saying, things he was implying he would do. But
he didn't do any of that stuff, did he?
No, on screen.
Thought crimes, huh?
No,
Yeah.
That's one scene where there's some important details that are really great on a rewatch that you may not have noticed. And I think I told you, Pat, but in that sequence, Reze, she's like singing a Russian lullaby. While she's choking this guy out on a rooftop, and you have, all these shots while she's singing. It cuts through most of the characters that are around, and you see Makima, this character who has a lot of control and authority in Denji's life. In that sequence, you see her just preparing, innocuously like a cup of coffee. As the song is being sung in a totally different location, Makima does start swinging her cup to the tune. Now, something I had to point out later to Keon and others, at the end, there's a sequence in an alleyway where Makima's talking about, the country mouse, the field mouse, and essentially everywhere there's a mouse in, Tokyo, in Japan, in the world. She has a contract to know what is happening around them. So it recontextualizes the movie, her interactions with everybody, once you know that reveal in the manga. But also in this movie, if you rewatch it again, you're like, everywhere there could be a mouse, everywhere there is a mouse shown on screen, you have to think Makima's listening.
Yeah, in the music video where they like have the intro part of the movie, and the music video, there's a mouse, and it's like watching them drag power to the headquarters.
Yeah.
And another two things that I found really cool about that sequence of her choking him out, there were a couple things. One, apparently it has visual similarity to No Country for Old Men when he's choking people out.
Yeah, I see that now.
And then also that two things. One, if you don't know Russian, like, and you're watching it with subtitles, you wouldn't know that that's Russian. In the manga, it's literally Russian, like text. But so if you identify, you're just like, okay, this is weird. It's not Japanese. But there is, so it's revealed that she is, the Black Widow-esque, like Red Room child soldier for the Russians. And apparently there is actually a form of training in which you learn a song that is the exact amount of time to kill someone, to choke someone out. And so that could also be an element of her like singing a song that genuinely is describing like a beautiful day that she and Denji could have, but she's literally killing a person, and that could be perceived as her timer of like, how long do I need to do to kill this man?
I'm curious, when as first time watchers, when she was being chased, what did you think was going to happen?
I didn't think for a second that she was in any real trouble.
Same, yeah.
Okay.
It looked very performative.
Okay, so you had picked up.
Not in that, just in the sense of like, you could call it tropey with the buildup, but I mean, it's like, there's no way she's just a regular girl.
Fair, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. In this universe, in this context, you at this point, you should come to expect that not everything is as it appears.
Yes. And I love that she is the epitome of every manic pixie dream girl trope, to the point where it's like, no, it's not a bad writing choice. It is deliberately for show in her like training.
Yeah. It was all intentional. Her laughing really hard and putting her hand on him, like, yeah, it's all an act. It was all intentful.
Every time, it's so funny reading back through the manga where like every single time that they use a panel from the manga, it is done so well in the movie to like add emphasis.
Yeah.
Like, when he's just like, and then like the background disappears behind him, and he's just like, I think she likes it. Oh my God. And it's like, she's being very overt about it.
Yeah.
Everything about her is so good. And that sequence is so great for the fact that in retrospect, Denji solves it before I even remotely thought about it, where it's just like, oh, you can't make bombs when it's wet out. And it was raining, so you wouldn't kill me. And so the scene where they are in the water makes so much more sense on hindsight, because in the manga, you don't get this visual of a spider with a moth or like a butterfly. And throughout them hanging out, the spider is basically capturing and about to devour the butterfly. And it seems like such a perfect visual comparison of like, okay, something's going on. Why would they show us the spider, like in film fashion? But then once it starts raining, the spider and the butterfly stop. They both like, the spider doesn't eat the butterfly. They back off a little bit, or, you know, they're literally just like stuck there in stasis. And so I was just like, that is such a perfect example of like, she's in a pool, but she can get dry and blow him up or do anything else, or choke him out if she wanted to. But as soon as it starts raining, she's like, my exit strategy's gone. I can't do it. And so when the Typhoon Devil's like, I didn't know you were here, I was like, well, why does it matter that much? It's like, oh no, they deliberately, the Typhoon Devil being involved ruined her ability to kill Denji in the moment if she was going to do that.
About when she chose to actually kill people, well, especially Denji.
Yeah.
There's a couple details when they first interact, when they meet each other in the rain, before they get into the phone booth. She has her hand on her neck. So she's very close. She's thinking about it, but then she sees his face. Then they go into the phone booth where it's a little personal. And when she's reaching for her handkerchief, she reaches into the same pocket she reaches into later to pull a pocket knife from. But that's when she's interrupted by Denji pulling a perfect flower, mind you, out of his throat, his esophagus.
Awesome.
Having context for things like, especially them being 16, like you'd think like a cold-blooded killer, like an adult, may not blink twice.
Yeah.
But this is a 16-year-old girl, and this is a 16-year-old boy. Of course, certain hormones are going to have an impact on whether or not they can do what they're supposed to. Them in their moment in the pool, swimming together, they're experiencing a brief moment of like childlike freedom from the grim reality of their lives and the tragedy, you know, that surrounds them. And that every moment that she could get escaping that with him, she tried to draw it out as long as she could. And that I felt when she was singing the song, you know, the very infamous, her like twitching eye shot, that's her snapping out of the dream.
Sure.
And realizing, you know, she pretty much has to, you know, finish her mission, kill him.
And even then, like the next scene right after that is them going to that fair, and the music in this movie is incredible. Like across the board, they have like drops from like Maximum the Hormone, but also from the intro. Iris Out is such a good song. But then yeah, they're like the soft and subtle piano is devastating. Like going back and like re-listening to the soundtrack, which all bangers, that's so good. But like there are so many moments that her motif is so subtle and nice, and that it builds up that moment while they're at like the festival of like running through. The background is very blurry in the form of high shutter speed or low shutter speed. When the shutter is like very open, it creates this nice big motion blur behind you, and it's very filmic. It's done in the manga. That's 2 panels.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the movie, it's like this entire beautiful scene of them having such a good time, and you're like, I want this to work out so bad. And then, you know, she makes her final plea of like, you know, let's run away and it'll be fine. And then you can feel the moment of like, in that moment, I'm also just like, well, is she actually saying like, well, let's go to a different location where I can basically kidnap you? Or is she also thinking like, there's an element of like, well, I do kind of want to run away with you, but as soon as she hears that, it's just like, do you like someone else? I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, it's happening now. Like, I hate you for breaking my heart in that way. And then her theme changes into like a glitchy version, and it's such a good moment of shift of just like everything's changing, his world's falling apart in the moment. And this is, in filmmaking, what is known as the midpoint. And I'm so fucking glad that they were able to hit this. Do you guys know about the midpoint of movies, like kind of format?
I think it's like over the whole, if you take like the whole film's duration,
Sure.
and then cut it in half,
Okay.
it's around there.
In the middle.
You're a genius.
Yeah.
You
It's
nailed
kind of
it,
like
yeah.
the scene in the Chainsaw Man movie, Reze
Oh,
arc,
yeah?
when they're after the festival and she's confessing.
Yeah.
And
There's
he's
this,
kind of
her song, her theme, just
yes,
really,
which is
well,
kind
I
of
don't
a
know if
midpoint.
just like it.
I don't know if you guys know that is in the middle of the movie. That's at the midpoint of the movie.
Yeah, when the movie goes from like the talking boring stuff.
Shut up.
And then
This is ridiculous.
and then Chainsaw Man actually shows up.
Yeah.
God. So yes, in a lot of movies, there is this midpoint moment, and it's a great example of that. And I don't know if this is really considered a spoiler because it's an old movie, but like I said, I hate spoilers. Is from Dusk Till Dawn. I think both of you have seen that movie.
Yeah,
A long time ago, yeah.
Yes, that there is a moment in the middle of the movie where the movie goes from this like weird, dramatic, heisty style movie to a literal slasher movie, and it's literally at the exact middle of the movie. And it's so jarring and crazy that it's such a good example of the midpoint where the movie changes in a way that it goes from the movie was about this, now it's about this. And it's an evolution on the plot. And here we are. Immediately, as soon as they kiss and she bites his tongue right off, you're just like, oh, here we go. Okay. And then she turns into the bomb devil and you're like,
Yeah.
oh boy.
The movie
here's the fun stuff now.
explodes. The bomb goes off.
Wow.
It revs up
Yeah.
Indeed.
like a chainsaw.
And also, God, could somebody just kiss Denji regularly for once? Because his first kiss, someone vomited in his mouth.
Yeah.
And then the second kiss, he gets his tongue bit right off, and then his body slashed.
No, he is a warped individual.
It's a running gag.
Sure.
You know, you're gonna see a pattern here.
Mhm.
And additionally, there is an element this was really funny in the manga, that like he's deliberating on like, well, who do I go with? What do I don't know. There's so many beautiful women in my life, but like I'm not into them. I'm into Makima, but I'm also into Reze, and what am I gonna do? And in the manga, they have it's verbatim from it's the same imagery in a relatively tasteful way, but still, I mean, 16.
Mhm.
And then the next panel is Pochita being like, what do I do?
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how much the manga is. It just, they can't give Denji a break, man. It's just sad. And apparently, here we are at the nicest moment of his life. He's getting his tongue bit right off and exploded. And then we go into some of the best animation out there. It's so incredible.
After watching it, I still don't think I've decided in my head, but I was thinking, comparing it a lot to Heaven's Feel Part 3,
Sure.
the final one in that, because before, if you'd asked me before I'd seen that, I would have been like, yes, that, because I saw that in theaters too.
Oh, damn. Yeah,
Hell
yeah.
And you were there, right?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you weren't.
Nope. Not I don't watch anime.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. That one has a lot of merit because there is a lot more context, like he said earlier. You know, that's kind of like the climax to, you know, for the VN. For the
the
VN,
whole
it'd be
thing.
like hundreds of hours of
Yeah.
content, you know,
Yeah.
but even before that, I mean, it's, you know, dozens and dozens of hours of, you know, anime and other movies and things like that. But I think as like a self-contained thing, and just for the pure scale of it, because it was seriously like a 20-minute fight, or at least it felt like
100%. Yeah.
you know, like I was in like the hyperbolic time chamber
Yeah.
watching this fight. So just for the pure scale of it and the variety and the different kinds of styles of things that they do, like there's the part where I think they're just fighting in effectively a single fireball.
Yeah.
And it's just their silhouettes fighting, you know, just the things like that, just the number of different ways that they depict the fight. It's probably better.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. There were definitely moments where I was watching it and I was like, this is like your standard anime fight, and then it keeps pushing it into new territory, different ways of conveying the amount of damage, the speed of the combat, how these hybrids fight.
Yeah.
Because up until a point you're like, yeah, Chainsaw Man basically goes up against like a kaiju thing and just rips and tears. Or he fights Katana Man and it's like over in one shot.
jobs.
Yeah, he jobs and then he's like, okay, I figured it out, I win.
Sure. Yeah.
This fight was like a real contest. In Heaven's Feel, there's a lot more emotional baggage from the whole series, and that's a really good payoff once you see that. But in this movie, there's just a density of combat and
Shut up.
okay,
You're off the channel. Get out of here. Yeah, no,
The,
Denji, go on.
of just like I was looking forward to just seeing the Bomb Devil. I love all that they did with it. The way they showed the explosions, the sound of her every time she shot out
In Dolby
surround
sound.
It sounded great. It looked great. There are moments that they pulled a lot of, content from these simple panels. Not to say simple, but just plain panels in the manga where not a lot is happening. Like just the sequence of them in the building right before they get to the water side. They drew out like a literal. They're in the building and then they're at the water. Like a fight happened. They added like 10, 15 minutes. It felt of like her just beating the shit out of the shark.
Yeah. That and her assault on the Division 2 or whatever was really funny because there's the one shot that's inserted of her with her head cut off, running wildly and then jumping on a guy, which like in the manga is just him jumping on the guy.
I'm still not sure I understand what happened. Because she takes her head off and it blows up, and then her body blows up, but then she's back.
So
help me.
Okay, so in the manga, there are certain important features of the hybrids, which are the people who aren't a devil controlling a corpse like Power or Beam or the Violence Devil, who is the guy with the mask with Kobeni. They're just devils piloting a body. Like the hybrids like Denji or Reze or Katana Man have their own personality. They're human, but with like a contract or a certain devil's part. Like the heart is Pochita, which he does have a contract with, but it's very vague how contracts work.
Like,
with
I want to
devils.
see your dreams.
Yeah, he's like, okay, well, thanks. These are my dreams.
They start bullshitting that later in the manga.
Yeah, it's a little Looney Tunes logic. But for Reze, like Chainsaw Man, he has to rev. He has to pull the ripcord and he'll restart. He'll regenerate, which is why it's so important that essentially she drains his ability to revive, which is
cuts his
blood.
off.
Yeah, cuts his hands off. You'll see many times they immobilize them before they can transform. Once they're transformed, you can still defeat them if you do enough damage, like she did, blowing him up several times until he's just a husk. Then they just need blood. And who knows how long they can go without needing blood. I think her trigger, quote, was her saying boom, because it seems like she has to pull the ripcord to transform. So she does it to blow her head off. I guess she's that capable that her body just knows where to go to pick up the head, throw it, and then the head blows up and turns into her. It transforms because that's where the ripcord was. So she just, I guess.
So she grew a whole body?
Yeah. Like that's why she's essentially naked except for like the bomb plate apron she has.
That makes a lot more
and
sense.
her bomb head.
Yeah, I did get that after.
She's drinking the blood. I think she's supposed to look like the alien.
Yeah,
when
she's
she's
like
up in the corner,
Yeah,
draining a guy's blood. And then the body is just another autonomous bomb.
It's just running around.
She could just make bodies then.
Yeah,
forever.
I mean, Denji, he just mostly just
some-
drinks blood. He just starts cutting things up, and since he has a bleed weapon, he just drinks the blood and infinitely heals.
And what a death flag for the guy to be like, in 5 years, I'm going to be the director.
Usually it's like, I retire after today.
Well, that, and I love that the Angel's Devil is just like, well, why didn't you just tell him you'd be dead in 5 years? I'm like, he's going to be dead in 5 seconds. Shut up. Like,
he's not making it.
Yeah, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, they even fake him out. After like he gets grabbed by a literal exploding body.
Yeah.
And he like shows up again. He like tanked it. He just lost an arm. Like tanked.
Yeah. You think he would have gone home?
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted his revenge. And you have the senior who's like, I caught up just in time to, help you out. And then she's like, okay. And then she's outside and like before they even start the car.
Yeah, which is so funny. It's funny that they got away at all when she's in front of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is, there's an element of like her being too patient with them, like
holding back, hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she really cared about Denji.
Apparently, there was a video essay that I watched that I thought was really funny, in which this girl was talking about how she went and saw the movie, and there were two guys that were just like, Reze's just like a manipulative girl and all this stuff, and she never loved him. And I'm just like, did we watch the same movie? And she goes off about like, did they love each other? I'm just like, what a silly question to ask, honestly.
Did you watch the ending?
Yeah. Did you want?
She died.
Yeah.
Yeah. For him.
Because of it.
Literally for him. Yeah, exactly. In such a perfect way of like, so in the movie we have the Aesop's fable between the city mouse and the country mouse. And she's literally about to get on a train to go to the country. And she's like, you know what? I'll be a city mouse just for him. Immediately gets killed like a rat. and it's awesome and
Or-
perfect. Yeah,
A moth in a web.
maybe.
I think she was probably screwed either way, honestly.
Yeah, genuinely.
She
you know.
points that out during their fight when
Yeah.
he says like, oh, all these people. He mentions Makima. And
He
she's
says
like,
my heart belongs
Yeah,
to
Makima, and she's like, oh,
Yeah.
or walking corpses. Yeah.
Yeah, she said he's like, I didn't know you were the pet of that witch. Well,
Yeah.
it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, is what she
Yeah,
says.
because they wouldn't have
exactly.
gotten away.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's so good that moment to build that you're rooting for her a little bit. You're just like she's going
Mhm.
back. He'll be there. They're
Yeah.
gonna reconnect, and it's not gonna happen. It was never gonna happen. Additionally, in that moment, this opens up a visual device that I think was incredibly obvious. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this movie on the channel, I know we're deep into spoilers, but a major visual cue of the movie was center framing. There's a ball in the middle of the frame, and that's usually indicating like clarity, simplicity, focus. You're just seeing something. So Pat is in the middle, and he's our focus, as you
Yeah.
can see. But
Simplicity.
yeah, as an example, if you watch if you watch that intro version of the music video where it's like all of the stuff that's like just a cool intro to the song Iris Out, it is all center frame. There's so much center framing. And then the movie is all center framing. And then at the very end, when she dies, there's a puddle there that's just a giant center frame. And literally the term Iris Out is at the end of like a Looney Tune, it goes, that's all folks, and there's like the circle and it goes out. That's called an Iris Out in a film. Wow. And so that's the element that I thought was so incredible about the movie, is how consistently they're just like, in the manga, there are a couple of moments that are center framed. This whole movie will have that as a visual cue and immediately draw you right in, so it's easy to know what you're supposed to look at. There's so many times where just whatever's important is right in the center of the movie. It's great. It's one of those like, this is a movie. They made like it has a visual language.
It was
It's
a manga
awesome.
made for the screen.
Mhm,
Definitely.
100%.
It seems like the manga was written with the intent of being an anime,
Sure.
especially just in terms of pacing and the way that the scenes are kind of laid out. It's very anime-esque, and I know, well, maybe it's stupid to say it that way because animes are based on mangas, so
Mhm.
maybe they were doing it first the whole time. I don't know. The anime adaptation did end up like, it's almost like 95%
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Agreed.
including the movie as well. Like, you don't miss anything.
Yeah, more.
Everything was accounted
Yeah.
for. It was like built from the ground up to be in an animated medium.
Well, yeah, and that's what I've heard, is that a lot of people were like, in 12 episodes, they only got that far. And I'm like, yeah, but they add a lot. And same thing in the movie, where it's just like, this is just a lot. Like, they add so much to it. And like you said, a 20-minute fight scene that technically didn't even like really happen in the manga. And yeah, genuinely, the fight is pretty quick in the manga. All the stuff with Beam like running around, this like,
Yeah.
yeehaw stuff. It's over relatively quick, and it builds such a rad moment of like, they're in the middle of this tempest and there's one gleam coming down as they're about to just shred right into the Typhoon Devil, and all that stuff. Just it's not really as starkly shown in the manga, but they do such a good job of giving it that motion and giving it that like intensity, that like
chaos.
Yes,
Of
yeah,
being
yeah.
in a typhoon.
Mhm. Oh, wow, there you go.
With a chainsaw.
With a
With a
chainsaw. Like,
chainsaw.
can you imagine a
And a
chainsaw
bomb.
and a shark flying
Yeah.
around in a typhoon?
Yeah.
As well-
It was literally Sharknado.
Yeah, and to your
Wait, I'm pretty sure the chapter of that manga is called Sharknado.
It might be.
It might be,
Could
yeah.
absolutely have been inspired.
There is, I mean, like you said, there's so much of it that is meant for the screen that when they are in the car and, he's just lying there and they're feeding him blood and he's like woken up enough that he like is about to like rev and then turn into Chainsaw Man, the stereo just goes buck wild and it's playing Maximum the Hormone and it's just very loud and grungy music. In the manga, it's exactly like that. There's big wubs all over the panel showing how disoriented, and they're like, what is even happening? And it builds the moment that like in a manga panel that's just kind of silly to do, but like when adapted, it hits hard that you're like, ooh, this is cool. They're doing it right now.
Mhm.
So there are, I completely agree. It's basically, as I was reading back through it, I'm like, this is just a storyboard for a manga,
Yeah.
or an anime.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. I definitely feel that.
I thought it was funny when the car scene. Well, in part of the car scene,
Yeah.
after he does transform and he gets on top of the car,
Yeah.
how they started playing the anime ending 3 song.
Oh, you're
Well, it's
right,
like,
they did. They totally did.
that whole thing, and I was like, I just found it funny because they know that, yeah, that was the best one. So they're like,
Fair.
all right, we'll reuse that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no way that you're watching this without having watched the anime, but yeah, every ending credits was a different song. They were so good. Like,
Yeah,
a lot of
different sequence, entirely animated, and they were all visually treats.
It's also funny because some of them like are animated presumably by like slice of life animators of like Aki sitting in a puddle out in the rain and Denji like sitting at home having a cup of tea, and I'm like, what is this? Like I think this is literally in the second episode after like Aki like punched him and then he kicked him in the balls so hard he threw up. It's just like, what are we doing?
I do want to say I did appreciate the break in the momentum of the movie when you get the sequence with the Angel Devil and Aki.
Yeah.
Because that is an important scene
Ooh.
for character building in Aki's sense. So it's not as important for the movie if you're watching it. You sort of won't. If you're just watching the movie and you haven't seen anything else, you're going to be like, wow.
Yeah, what an idiot.
They love each other.
Yes,
what an idiot. Yeah, he just
wasting your life
sacrificed
like that.
a couple months. Yeah, I missed the throwaway line where he said he had less than 5 years.
Yeah.
They gave it its justice because that's an important scene, even if it's a break between like, I want to see the shark and the chainsaw go nutso and say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I found great about Aki's like B movie, B plot, not B movie,
B plot.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
it is
honestly,
genuine.
weak
It
romance.
is the B plot that
Yeah.
like, you know, anytime that they're doing something fun and exciting, you cut to Aki having the most miserable day of his life with and it's funny because the moment of him fighting off that like he had just killed a devil and there's a guy dying right there and he's just like, why don't you just do he'll have a painless death if you do it. And Angel Devil's just like, no, that's stupid. I still want them to suffer. And then in the manga, I read the panel and it's funnier in the manga. In the anime, it's depressing. And it's just like, well, I could never be your friend, even if I pretend. And he's just like, I guess not. And in the manga panel, it's like they're joking. He's like, I could never be your friend if I even tried. He's like, guess not. It's like, it felt like it was played for a laugh in the manga.
Yeah.
And it's great the way that they adapt it, where it just feels very, like I said, it feels very Quentin Tarantino. It feels very Coen Brothers, where each moment is just depressing and awful and this world sucks. To the point where the Angel Devil at the end is like, you think this city's good? Says the angel to the mouse.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is great. I'm curious for you guys if there is anything that like you want to say about, don't spoil it. But for me, Makima is such a bad hang. Like, my God, they go see. So this is something that I've also seen a lot online too about like the difference between Reze and Makima in his mind. Like, okay, well, this is the girl that I liked first, but here's someone I can actually hang out with that's my age, that we have a great time, that like wants to hang out with me, and that it's funny because the very beginning is his date with Makima, and they go see movies, and the only thing he can say is like, she's so cute. I fucking hate that I'm spending 12 hours doing nothing, but she's adorable. And her interests are, yeah, a 20-year-old's interests of like, I want to go find a movie that really interests me, and you'll be here too, I guess. And that's about it. That's their whole interaction. And then the rest of the movie is how sweet and saccharine a relationship he could have with someone that is exactly like him, to the point where the last line she says before bleeding out is, I never went to school either. We were the same, and we could have been beautiful together. And every single fan art I've seen online is them having a happy relationship together off somewhere before presumably all of the rest of the manga happens. So what are y'all's takes on, no spoilers, I know there's probably a lot for Makima, but based on this movie, Makima versus Reze.
Do you believe Makima is a good guy?
It seems very ambiguous. Even that there's a part in the title sequence where it just shows that she knows more than everyone else and there's something else going on, which it's very obvious that that's kind of how things are happening. I personally think that she is, from what I understand, and this is me going in with only as much as we know from the movie, she is doing good by any means necessary, it seems. And that doesn't add to a chill hang, honestly, for a girlfriend. I'm just saying. What do you think, Landon?
Well, it's hard to talk about that theater sequence without going into spoilers.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
There's a lot of important relevance about theaters in a lot of Fujimoto's works.
Sure.
So
Goodbye,
this work-
Eri, of course.
Goodbye, Eri, Fire Punch, which
For sure.
I've read that.
I need to read that.
I
That
heavily
looks good.
recommend Fire Punch, but also Chainsaw Man, Goodbye, Eri. All of his works are really good. But anyway, the theater is an important figure.
Okay.
And it sort of explains a lot of characters when you see their reactions to watching movies.
Oh.
Like for Makima, in that sequence, you see her watch a bunch of movies and she has a single tear at the end of
Yeah.
the last one, which is a couple or a son going back to his mom.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is
just people
actually
hugging.
a movie from the 50s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
I believe you. A connection between
My
humans.
sources, I made it.
You know, it-
But yeah.
it's a hug between equals.
Sure.
People who understand each other and have a genuine connection. At the end of this movie, Reze and Denji have a hug like that on the beach, right before she snaps his neck and tells him he's a fool. But
Mhm.
there's no way you could, without, I don't know how you misinterpret that as not genuine love.
Yeah.
Like-
He gives her a genuine laugh. Like he says something that's just funny, and she's like, "I'm a hardened killer, but you're awesome. I love you. Like you're great to hang out with."
Like-
Well, he basically can't die, so it's not really a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To the point where he just says, "Beam, rev me up." Like it doesn't even matter what you
Yeah.
did. You know, that's her like slapping me slightly. You know.
It's hard to talk without talking about spoilers
Okay.
for that.
Okay.
But between
Give you
the
guys an
two, I
impossible
mean,
task.
are you asking me if I had to choose who I would prefer as a girlfriend?
No, I'm just curious what you think in the relationship to the story that
Who is
says.
better for Denji or?
What those moments say about the relationships, because I know that might leak into spoiler territory, but I just thought it was very apparent that like everything that he wants is kind of terrible.
I never got the feeling, and this is even before reading the manga.
Sure.
This is just from watching the anime to start with, but I never got the impression that Makima like was really legitimately
Is just manipulating him. Kind
but was ever really had an air of like legitimately liking him.
Sure.
Like she's just too cold.
Yeah,
She's too cold. It doesn't matter if she, tilts her head and smiles a little bit when she says like, I would like a guy like you, Denji.
Yeah, I like Denji guys.
Yeah.
I'm into Denji,
It's
dude.
a little-
I'm into the chainsaw dudes.
Mhm,
Manipulative,
You know.
wink.
a little controlling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially in the manga, it's way more overt. That she immediately says that and then says, "Hey, there's a devil over there. Go kill it. You're on my leash. Go get out of here." And also that the ripcord's kind of like a leash. Wow. Yeah.
So just going into it with that mindset, it's interesting to see the kinds of things they do together, but only in the context of wondering, like, why. You know?
Exactly.
Like I'm not
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
it's almost impossible to take it at face value of like they're going to the movies.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
But it's like if you are paying any attention, you're wondering like why. Other than the fact of like, well, she obviously wants Denji to be interested in her.
And I gotta say, it's also kind of like the Redditor's dream of just like, she's so mature and cool. And like, I'd love to do that and go all day and watch bad movies. But like, when you find the one that's really important, then you get it. Like, she's really cool and mature. And like, if you're watching it as from Denji's perspective, he's a 16-year-old kid with a 20-something on literally what's called a date and being
Yeah.
like, I'm bored as shit, but she's pretty. And that's
Yeah.
it, It's just in context so weird and I'm excited. I'm excited to read and see what the hell's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, even in just the movie, I mean,
Yeah.
you would have to walk away from her, executing Reze at the
Yeah.
end with nothing other than that, like, well, that was bad.
Yeah.
She's kind of mean, honestly.
Yeah, like that was nice.
Well, and she even says to Reze right before, she's like, out in the field, I go and hang out with people in a pasture, and they have a crop, and a bunch of mice like dig underneath. So we need to burrow them out and kill them with dogs. And it's always given me calm. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like her literally just like, yeah, I'm here to stamp out the rat. Okay, and bye. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
She's
And the
like-
angel comes and it's
Protecting
like,
her
cool.
dog.
Yeah, she's like, I'm psycho.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be clear that to us, the viewer, I mean, there's these added context things, but even in her interactions with Denji, those people you'd look at and be like, yeah, I would be weirded out.
Exactly.
Like
yes.
that seems very overtly manipulative and
Yeah.
toxic, but Denji is not normal. in the
Yeah.
slightest.
Well, in the
He-
same.
he-
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Yes, that
yeah,
too.
So
But
it works.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
yeah,
But also in the same way and that's why, like, after the movie, I just kept thinking about, like, oh my God, they are kind of perfect for each other. That they're both just been manipulated so hard for their entire lives that, like, they don't even know what a good life looks like. But, like, they could equal
they've
it
never
out
been to
together.
school.
never been to school. And she even says it. She even says how fucked up the whole thing is to him, but she knows it. Like she's literally saying it out loud to him.
Yeah.
But then there is the there's the element where right after they do their date, he's like, "Do you think I have a heart?" And she's like, "You do have a heart, Pinocchio," or whatever. And then immediately he's just like, I'm gonna get one wish after this. I think it's gonna be to be her to be my girlfriend. It's like, you can ask her to marry you. What's wrong with you?
Even though her method of answering that question is like, I wonder if she even understood what he was saying.
Yeah.
When he's like, "Do you think I have a heart?" And she's like, "Yeah,
there it is.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah, he's in
His
there."
name's Pochita. Yeah, that's great. So, but then right after that, Beam is following him around, and then he immediately meets Reze right after that. So it really builds that like, oh, will they, won't they kind of thing. But right before then, he says to Beam, he's just like, "Beam, get in the water, stop freaking the hell out. Why do you all have such weird names?" I was like, why did he say that? I only think the reason he said that was foreshadowing for Reze, because I Googled it. Reze means nothing. It's not a word. It doesn't exist in Japanese or anything else. And when I Googled it, all it said was, Reze's a popular character in the Chainsaw Man series. I'm like, okay, there you go. And I feel like that was a 4-letter word that sounds cool, that doesn't mean anything, similar to Beam. And I think that was a slight foreshadowing. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but that moment doesn't make any sense to me outside of maybe something that comes up later in the anime.
Beam is a word, by the way.
So is power.
They are they are. Some of them are subtle foreshadows. Not
Okay.
You couldn't really get it. You may.
This is your
But-
Joker moment. It's like, you don't really get it.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't understand.
Exactly.
Batman, read the full manga before you talk to me.
I did have that same thought, although I think it's also just equally likely that it may have just been a joke.
Sure,
Mhm.
sure. Yeah.
Like he's kind of lampshading the fact that they have silly names
Sure. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, yeah.
that they probably picked.
Yeah. But if you go into the movie without knowing anything about it and having no idea who Reze is or what it is, then yeah, that could be a little bit of a hint.
I mean, it sounds like vaguely Japanese enough.
Yeah, right.
that
Exactly. Yeah.
You buy it. Like Denji, Reze, Makima, just all,
They're all stupid.
they're all
yeah.
these silly sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Aki,
mean,
whatever.
Pochita, I think, is Denji naming him after this. I can't remember if it's like the onomatopoeia of the chainsaw activating,
okay,
or
okay.
if it was a chainsaw brand.
makes
But
sense.
again, it's a reference that doesn't really make sense
Yeah.
to the West.
Well, apparently also Denji's name. Apparently he was supposed to have a different name when he was writing it, and he was just like, this one sounds funny. Additionally, yeah, and I just really want to say that, like, I don't get what people's frustrations are with the sub voice actor, because I love his Denji. He sounds so dumb and so silly.
Mhm.
And when you hear him in the dub, it's just like every other anime character, like, oh, Makima, come give me a smooch. It's like, what are you doing?
Since I don't speak Japanese,
Yeah.
and I think this applies for probably most people. There's probably certain levels I could evaluate,
Sure.
but I can't really detect the nuance in a really good
Mhm.
performance versus a really bad one.
I felt the emotion.
Yeah.
I think it's more that there's just a higher level of consistency than what we were
Yeah.
raised on when we
Sure,
were kids.
sure.
There wasn't so much emphasis on proper adaptations being true to the source material. So you sort of got these disconnects between dubs and what was going on.
At least what I picked up from like his intonations, it sounds like what they usually have as like an undereducated character, of like a thuggish character that just is like, saying random crap.
Mhm.
It felt very similar. And I don't know if that's me being stereotypical of just like, well, yeah, but that's not what I wanted Denji to sound like. He's more nuanced than that. That's a caricature. But to me, I'm just like, yeah, that's what that sounds like. But in the dub, he sounds like literally every other anime protagonist. And it's kind of frustrating in my opinion.
Yeah, there's definitely things we miss out on by not being native Japanese speakers.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure the way Power talks is like a certain sort of regal,
Sure.
royal flair to it that
yeah, they
regular talk.
They do try to show that in the translation of the manga, at least, because when she speaks, she'll say like "tis,"
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
And she shows up at the end and is
Yeah, if you're
Fine.
a big Power fan,
Sorry.
she doesn't appear that much
Yep.
in the movie.
Yep, nope.
But
Yeah, Aki and
she is one of my favorite characters. So.
I'm glad though that as of the end of the season, like Aki and Denji are closer and they're more chill. And after rereading the manga up until then, I'm just like, yeah, they're not really friends until they kick the Katana Devil in the balls. And then they're like bros, and I'm like, this is great. I love
They
this.
form a
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah, you're kicking a guy in the balls
Yeah,
until
something to relate upon.
And then the movie ends after them both eating flowers. It's adorable. Now, I want to get into some of the trivia. Is there anything else y'all wanted to say before we move on?
Thank you for inviting me off the street onto your show.
Yes, yeah. These are two homeless men that I found.
Homeless.
Yeah.
That's a strong implication between I was just walking on the street. Yeah,
exactly. I'm in a polo. What are you talking about?
yeah.
So, yeah.
And thank you for inviting me up to your penthouse suite.
Exactly, yes.
You can see out that window is Orlando, and if you look that way, it's Miami.
Yep.
And you can see clear across the state.
Yes, exactly. It's so high up. Whenever there's a hurricane.
Yeah, so you disagree? Where was the bit that there was an editor right there?
I forgot of these unused bits.
Jarvis, close the blinds.
Yes. Go Gadget and the episode. No, we got a little bit more. So yes, so there's a lot of references, visual references in this movie. And so the primary ones, of course, are to like Quentin Tarantino. So at the very beginning, like I said, we had the public safety people that are basically in Reservoir Dog outfits. And that when Makima at the very beginning of the movie is preparing herself some breakfast, she taps her foot, and that is the moment in Pulp Fiction when they're going to like the milkshake place and going to go do a dance. That's exactly when Uma Thurman, you see her feet. There's a guy named Yurikuki on YouTube that did a really good breakdown of all of these visual similarities. Additionally, when the angel lands, like during the intro, that is from Constantine when Satan shows up. It's exactly the same framing. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That also was a shot that's centered on feet.
There's something going on
Yeah.
with all these foot fetishists like Kojima and Tarantino, and now here we go, Fujimoto.
Yeah. Give me more foot facts.
Yeah. Do you not see all this Kojima foot stuff?
No,
recently?
I've seen the Kojima foot stuff. I was just gonna say I think Fujimoto doesn't really. I don't think he has the foot thing. I
You think it's the director of the anime?
No. I think it's by virtue of referencing Tarantino.
Sure, the foot
So
fetishists.
it's like a virus that spreads.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There is
Like a
there is a strong correlation between auteur filmmakers or really directors of any kind and feet.
We did not
We're seeing
see the foot devil.
Hey, you're right. When that comes out, it's going to go wild. The dance that they do at the very beginning, where there's like there's a break in the music, and then the background goes Technicolor, and it's just Aki Power and Denji like doing like a really like slow, weird dance. That's actually from a movie called Band Apart. It's a French film, and that's actually what Tarantino's production house is named after. So they're doing a dance from a movie that Tarantino used for his production studio. Additionally, there's a part with these little papercraft people that they pull apart during the intro animation. That's from the movie Inferno. Denji rides a horse and it turns into like stop motion looking thing. That's the first, motion picture. Wow.
Yeah.
Literally called A Horse in Motion. When Denji gets the grenade pin at the very beginning and then he explodes like Makima gives it to him, that is a direct parallel to Leon the Professional in the end of that movie. I don't know if you all have seen that, so spoilers.
That's one of my favorite films.
Well then, perfect. You immediately got the reference.
I'm familiar with that, but he didn't go shit.
Fair. He didn't. You don't hear that. It's dubbed over. And then also, the movie that they watched is called Ballad of a Soldier, and I don't know anything about that movie, but it seems significant
You'll have to
in a
see
way.
if it makes you cry at the end.
Yeah, good point. The last thing that he mentions actually is that when Reze pulls the pin in front of the Division 2 area, there's a Wilhelm scream, apparently.
I think I
heard it.
I think I heard that.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Which, great, fantastic. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, which is awesome. I love this. I love when they do this in movies. Same thing with the spider and the butterfly. Love this part. When they're in the school, there is a couple frame moment of them walking upstairs and seeing a painting. There's just a painting. And they linger on it for only a couple seconds. That painting is called Ronaldo in Armida by Paolo Finocchiaro. Yes, I nailed it. Nailed it perfect.
Take two.
Yeah. Ronaldo in Armida. I fucked it up both times. Anyway, so yeah, cut it. But that's actually based off of a Greek story that's about two kids called Daphnis and Chloe, who apparently are two children separated from their parents that are raised by some randos to be taught to do well and are subject to horrible torture until they reconnect, and then they get married and they find their birth parents. and it's like the happy ending version of Denji and Reze, which I think is like such a cool thing for them to throw in really quick as a visual like language to be like, well, that's the story, and we'll see what happens to them by the end of the movie.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that painting,
You
my
immediately
mind, immediately I was like, this is the story of those two kids.
The
Why
people
is it
that
in a
Keon
school?
knows their name.
Yeah.
Paintings are important. They show up in the manga sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
References to real paintings.
Was that one in the manga?
I don't know. I
didn't see it when I went back to
it may not be in the
Jarvis.
manga. Okay, yeah, pull that up. Prove me wrong.
Well, that's everything that I wanted to cover. I do want to thank you both for being here and dealing with the impossible questions I was asking you about the manga without spoiling. I
Without
appreciate.
spoiling it.
I don't think
Yes, sir.
anything's been spoiled for me.
I'll let it
tried
rip
not-
right now if you want.
No, no, you won't.
You
No,
could
no,
leave
no.
and we could talk about it.
And I just you leave it rolling and it ruins the audience's experience of the entire manga.
Well, it's the super spoiler.
Super spoiler segment.
section.
If you wanted to stick around and listen to us try to digest.
No. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you had a good time. And
I
go
know.
watch the movie. Enjoy Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
And did you know that the name Kickback for the original intro?
Opening.
That's what happened when Chainsaw.
Oh, they kick back.